my name is Liz Chen, and I actually came because my friend said to come, but I always was going to come at some stage. However, I personally probably needed that little push. So I felt like I came to Field of Awakening with an intention to focus on work, because that's a big part of my being or my professional life. However, what turned up, or the insights that turned up starting with day one, was around my family. And what I mean by that is, day one in the smiling meditation, I wasn't so smiley to begin with. I was actually very sad because I realized that sometimes the connection I personally have with my parents or with my siblings wasn't a genuine connection. It was a pretend smile. It was a facade. It was a, I'm okay, this is great, we're smiling. But it didn't come from him. So my insight was that allowed me to release lots of tears, and my beautiful buddy next to me, who happened to also be a friend from another previous retreat, probably the magical moment, because I was allowed to feel sadness. I felt like growing up in a very Asian culture, we're very taught to put ourselves together, have a good face, make sure we're looking okay, we're looking the part. So that started the journey of the transformation. Allowing myself to be sad, because after I felt through it, it was joyful tears. And on day 2, that's when we learned about the sufferings. And the suffering state that came up for me was feeling used and abused, unwanted, insignificant, feeling small. And I just realized that throughout my whole life, I'm actively working on being seen, being significant. But you kind of go through processes where there's still that core deep stuff that's still there. And so it didn't matter how much I felt like I worked on it, seemed to still come up. And I realized the message that came through was that you're addicted to anger. And that was profound, because I heard stories generationally from my grandparents and my parents of their sufferings, or how they migrated from China to Australia, or how they were impacted by politics or the economy, or their financial wealth went from high to low, to having to escape, that kind of stories. But I realized that I was still carrying them, and I was angry, and it came through my personal today present life, through work, boyfriends, friends, my relationship with family, parents, but it actually also stemmed from them. So that was like a historical generational anger that got passed down, which I got told I was always crazy and I had to work on my attitude because I would get too angry, but it was really them. And I'm actually pretty joyful to begin with. So on day 3, when we did the healing, it was so powerful, because as we realized the addictions was from parents, or the samskaras that are derived from your birth, it just made so much sense. And then it was a really intense conception journey. My insight from how was I conceived, that was like the most funniest thing. I was like, do I really want to know that? But I guess I do. And the feelings around my conception was of intense rage from both my parents. My mom's side, she felt she never received approval from her mother, my grandmother. From my dad's side, he never felt like he was validated from his work or from his family. He always felt like he had to prove himself. And together, they made an angry baby. But the irony of it all is that they gave me a birth name of joy. So my birth name in Chinese is Chen Yue, and Yue, because Chinese has different phonetics, it could be the moon, but it's actually written in the form of joy. And so as a kid, or as a child growing up in China, I was born there, I moved to Australia when I was 5, I was always called by my joy name. And what I realized is then, as an adult, I don't feel joyful. So it was like this disconnect of what my name meant, how I was living. And now we're in day 4 and I feel so joyful. I was like, this is the best, because that was the outcome. The outcome was a state of joy, which is me, which is my name. I really want to thank my friend, and she knows who she is. So thank you.